Hi, welcome back to the Building You podcast. My name is Esther. Thank you so much for giving me another Sunday in your week. I do not take it for granted at all. Let's get down to business. First and foremost, happy International Women's Day to every woman who is listening to this. You are the most amazing creator on earth. Yes, I said it. I said it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So happy International Women's Day. I just pray that all your heart desires are granted and you just enjoy the best of the best this year. Okay? Okay. So if you are a woman or you're someone that has a female figure in your life, be it a significant other, a parent, a friend, this episode is for you. So today I want to talk to you about three women that I have studied in the past week. Now, I promise you, I wasn't even studying this month for this podcast, but somehow in the last week, I have found myself wanting to develop. And aside me wanting to develop, right, I genuinely think my FYP has more women doing amazing things being shown to me. Now, I'm so sorry. I'm not discrediting my men like 100%. Like, you guys keep doing you, okay? But I was just like, I see women every day taking stages and taking places that, conventionally you wouldn't think that they would or they would want to be or they would have the time to. And so this pushes me every day to be like, there's more to do, there's more to do. Yeah, so I'm going to take you through those three women today. Three different lives, three different timelines, three different sectors. And I do hope that you do enjoy this podcast. So sit back, relax. Let's get into the podcast. So, woman one would be Esther and not me. No, sadly. But soon. Okay. Great. So, I'm talking about Esther in the Bible. Now, when I talk about Esther, I have been reading a book about Esther coincidentally. I promise you guys, like, it wasn't even like, oh, let's do research about the podcast. Genuinely coincidentally, I started reading about Esther. And so Esther 4 verse 14 coined a verse that said, for such a time as this. And since the last Hallelujah challenge, like the one that happened last year, not this recent one, that verse has been stuck in my mind so much. Like every time something happens, I'm like, okay, who knows for such a time as this? Because I have come to realize that my life in certain phases, it's not a mistake. It is genuinely for the purpose of something. So this particular one, I'm actually speaking from a place that it's like personal to me. Okay. So Esther, she was an orphan raised by her cousin Mordecai. She was a Jewish woman living in a foreign land as a minority. And somehow she landed in the palace, right? We all know the story of Esther. You don't need to get into that. I think the things I want to draw out from Esther is that she was living in a place where she had to hide her identity. She had to learn the customs of a place that she did not believe in. Now, Esther was somebody that they had a different tradition, Jewish and all of that, and then she's coming to stay with a king that they have a different tradition, yes, different customs, different ways of life, right? So she had to learn those things and navigate a system that was not built for somebody like her. Does that sound familiar? Does it sound like I'm reading somebody's life back to them? They're literally in a place where it feels like the system is not designed to favor you, or in a phase truly where you're learning and unlearning certain things. Yeah, that was Esther. And then there's a moment that switches and changes everything in her life. A moment that makes her realize that everything she has learned, every time she has stayed quiet, every time she has prepared for something, it all came down to this. There was, Haman who was threatening the lives of our people actually. And Mordecai said, who knows whether you have not come to the kingdom for such a time as this. So powerful. Like, who knows? Maybe you're going through that heartbreak for 2 or 3 years down the line where you're going to have a younger you, maybe not a sister, maybe not a friend, but somebody younger in a teens camp in something that is trying to process the feeling of, pain, of hurt, of sadness, of grief, and you having gone through something that's similar to that would now be able to tell her from a place of understanding, not just from a place of, oh, let me find the words to say. Now I'm gonna say this, like I said, it's personal. When I went to school, right, there was a time where I was withdrawn from veterinary school. I made a whole post about it on my YouTube channel, right? And for some reason that thing touched lives. And everything I wanted to touch lives, I also document how far I had come, right? So having gone through that phase as an A-star student, now knowing what failure felt like, I genuinely don't think in my wildest dreams that failure can put me down because I've tasted it and I've come back from it. So if somebody comes to me and like, I don't think I can do this, I don't think that I can get past this, I can tell you that you can because I have. And the same strength I have in me is what I'm going to pass on to you, right? So I digressed for a second, but Mordecai told her, who knows whether you've been in this position, you've been put here, you've come to this place for such a time as this, because no other voice would have spoken up for them. And you know what Esther said? It's all right. Thank you so much for gaslighting me. Thank you so much for rage baiting me. Thank you so much for just calling this death my purpose. But you know what? If I perish, I perish. And now she said that because you know the story of Esther. You're not supposed to go to the king unless he has summoned you, and if he doesn't turn his scepter on you, you're gonna die and all of that. So Esther said, "You know what? It's fine. If I perish, I perish." But you know what? Esther went and she actually found favor and she actually succeeded. So, we're grateful for the end of that story. Beautiful, because that goes to tell you that it's gonna be well in the end eventually. This phase is but a period. It's gonna be well. So I want you to take from the story of Esther, right? That she moved, she acted, and she changed the trajectory of an entire nation. She did not know what she was being prepared for, but she was in a phase, she was in a season, and she kept showing up in that season. She kept being faithful in the small things. Like she was obeying the eunuchs, she was obedient to her uncle, she kept her character intact, even when circumstances were not her choices. And when the moment came, she drew strength from the fact that these were her people. And there's one thing my pastor used to say, right? He used to say that God never spoke to Esther, but Esther acted according to how God would have wanted her to. So sometimes it's not like, oh, there's Rema coming from somewhere. You just have been prepared to show up for the moment. My pastor calls it kairos, where opportunity meets preparation. So you are being prepared right now in whatever phase you are, even if it doesn't feel like it, even if you can't see it, even if the room you are in does not look like where you thought you would be, you are being prepared. But the one thing I want you to know is that preparation without action is just waiting. You have to do something with that preparation. Esther could have been prepared all her life. And even when Mordecai said that, for such a time as this, she could have said, well, uncle, I get you, but death is not an option. And he's not, she didn't kill all of us. Now we're going to meet our father in heaven. Dama, what are we doing on this earth? Right, right. Shouldn't, well, there wasn't Jesus at the time, but like, you get my drift. But Esther said, you know what? If I perish, I perish. Most of you are already being prepared, but you just don't want to act. I can't fathom it. I cannot fathom me like this. I cannot. I'm gonna tell you that currently I spoke about my job search season in my last episode. I am still job searching. But I promise you, I am committing every single feeling, every single experience to mind, because when I see somebody in the next 2, 3 years trying to job hunt, trying to job search, I want to be able to tell the person this can help you, this can work for you, and this is the mindset to have. I'm not even saying 2, 3 years. Even right now, yeah, as a woman, I'm going to tell you, you're being prepared for such a time. And so you need to prepare and move when that time comes. Okay? Great. The second one we're going to talk about, I told you these women are in different timelines and different sectors. It's someone that I have followed for a very long time. Her name is Temilade Salami. And if you know her, we call her the Global Temi. She is a founder of Eco Champions. She's a climate activist. She works with UNICEF. She has a brand called Light and Cottons. She's an author. I have two of her amazing books. If you're in your 20s and E for Excellence, amazing books, you guys. And then very recently, she opened a sustainable fashion brand called Tunturi. I have watched Temilade's journey, and like every single time this man does something, I'm like, Auntie, why are you resting? Where is the clothes that you are resting? Where is the provision that you are telling yourself it's okay? Let's stop. The whole of last year, she spent four sessions in that year training people, teaching them mindset, teaching them how to launch. She called it the launch pad. And some things have to be amazing timing. Like, not amazing. You have to follow things with the times, right? So I was just like so exhausted and busy last year. And I was like, you know what? If she opens up a slot this year, I'm gonna register. And guess what? She said she's not opening any slot though. People should go and pay. You get the recordings of the other one. That is the fees. She has done it. She gave it her all. On to the next thing. Another time, none of us knew she was building Tunturi. And look at us. I think she's launching on the 8th of March, if I'm not mistaken. But I followed her journey. Day one, day eight, day this. And I'm just like, how did you think of this, and bring it to life? I watch her YouTube videos. I watch her webinars. I watch Temilade is such an inspiration. Now, why is she an inspiration? I'm going to come from the place of her work, which is the founder of Eco Champions and a climate activist, right? So basically, whenever she tells her story, she says that at the time when she got into climate change, right, there was nothing there. Like, there was nothing there. It's literally like, founding something or being in a space that does not look like it's going to prosper. but she knew where she was headed. So she planted roots. She literally stayed, she did not wait for somebody to hand her a platform. She began to build a platform. Climate change is like an underfunded sector in Nigeria, you know, Africa as a whole, self. But like she is in rooms where conversations happen. She's literally in UNICEF. She's having, she's being flown in to have conversations about climate. And that's why she's building a sustainable brand. Right. So like my own was that whenever she says this, she's like, there was no future for climate change, but she was there. She was there and she built from there. And this is a reminder that the area God has called you to may not be glamorous. Nobody may be there. Literally, maybe you and one other. You can be starting, you can be starting a business and it's you and your phone. You can literally, I'm so sorry to say, I love you all my listeners. But when I started this, I promise you, I didn't even think I was gonna get up to 5 people consistently playing, but I don't have anything less than 5 plays every single week. So yeah, it might be you and 5 others. It may not trend on social media. It may not make immediate sense to the people around you, but if it is yours that God has called you to, build on it. Temilade started with climate, started her NGO with Eco Champions. She started her Lights and Cottons brand, which is like a t-shirt brand that speaks life through the Bible verses on the shirts you wear. And she started it from her room before she moved to a shop. Now she sells mugs, she sells planners, she sells cups, she sells tote bags. And she did not say, oh, so I now sell tote bag. How will I now do a brand that has another tote bag? Because Tunture has a collection that looks like a tote bag. It's a laptop bag that's hangable. And if you allow me, I'm going to talk about Temilade for like 3 hours because it's sensational. And if you ever ask her, she says she doesn't want to be tied to her work. She doesn't want to say, oh, Temilade that does this, that. It is Temilade because that's the identity that God has given her. And she wants that when you see her, you see God. Like that's what she keeps saying. And that's literally what it is. Like anytime I've seen her work, I just ask myself, God, how did you give her this vision? Because I know it cannot tell me like this just sleep and wake up. Now she works by the spirit. And it's because she has made it so evident in her life. And this Holy Spirit who has worked marvelously in her. So yeah, I said if you give me more room, I'm gonna speak about Temilade. So we're gonna move on from that. But I'll be got the lesson. Where you currently are in, or the area that God may have called you to, or the area you found yourself, it may not be glamorous. It may not be looking like the most trending thing on social media right now. It may not look like it makes sense. But if God has called you and if it is genuinely yours, you build, you stay building, and it's gonna work. Okay? Great. So now the next person I'm going to talk about is somebody that I recently started, listening to. So I may not be as passionate as I was with Temilade, but her mindset, I think I'm very big on mindset. If I see that your mindset, your actions, there are things that are challenging me, I'm going to listen to you pending when I'm like, okay, maybe I don't like this anymore. Okay. So I like her mindset. And it is Afnan Khalifa. If you've seen her on Instagram, you know her. And if you've not, go check Afnan Khalifa. So she's based in Dubai. She's a woman who took the tools of the internet, social media content, digital strategy, and built a business and a platform out of it. She teaches women how to build online, how to brand themselves, how to take what they know and turn it into something that earns them money and something that actually reaches. Like I said, what I respect about her is her mindset. She did not sit and wait for a traditional path. I listened to a podcast where she was on recently, where she was like, she left her house without her parents' money, without anything. I know like a lot of us may have that story, but we're like, God, when, like when would the thing finally mature? And some of us may have that story, some of us may just like being at home. But like she just did not sit and wait for things to happen to her. She saw that the world that was being built around her, was the internet economy. And she said in the podcast, she said that she watched somebody that was her age, that she was a waitress at the time, a server at the time. But she saw somebody her age making money online at that time, where making money online wasn't like rampant, and this money was equivalent to the money she was making slaving off. Meanwhile, this person wasn't. And so she said, well, you said, okay, I'm getting into this. I'm looking into what this person is doing. And I genuinely think that's the thing about women who change trajectories. They're not waiting for permission. They're not always doing it the way it has been done before. They're looking at what's available to them and they're moving immediately. Like, I feel like my biggest problem is always people that know but don't implement. Like, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for to do it for you? Is Jesus gonna come down from heaven and do it for you? Girl, get up. There's a message by Sarah Jakes that literally says, "Girl, get up, like stand up, did you? Why is this now?" Anyways, Afnan has made me realize that I have access to more tools than any generation of women before me. We're literally in 2026. AI. You guys, have you heard what AI is doing? Have you heard? My God, we have more tools than any generation of women before us. We have the internet, the phone, our voice, our story. The only question that Afnan has made me ask myself is, what am I doing with it? And so I'm going to ask you too, what are you doing with it? Yeah, because Afnan decided to do something with hers, and now she's speaking on stages, she's talking to people, she's making money. Like, if you see her talk, you're just going to be like, this girl is in clouds, this money is not real. You know what? Yeah, so those are my stories, right? So three women, three seasons, three sectors, one truth. None of them were in a comfortable place when they started moving. Esther was in hiding. Temilade just had a vision with very little proof that this thing could work. Afnan was in a world that had not been fully built for her yet. They were all in between, but they chose to build anyway. So I need to understand that the phase you are in right now is not the problem. The problem is if you leave this phase without doing anything in it. Like I always say, or pray rather, that Father, let me not miss the lessons of this season, because it's expensive. Yeah, you would always not feel ready to do stuff. The situation would not always be right. The support will not always show up. You guys, but when you need it, a lot of people need to realize people may not be supporting you as you desire. Mm, but God does not put you in a season for nothing. Honestly, I've tried to navigate this job search season, and I keep reminding myself that God did not bring me this far to leave me halfway, because if I dwell on it, I can run mad. But always know that there is always something for you to learn, something for you to build, something for you to become. So the question is not when will things get better, and this is not just for women. So if you're a man and you've listened to this episode, because I know my girls are already turning wheels, they're already thinking, okay, what I do, what I do. If you're a man and you're listening to this and you've gotten to this part, the question is not when will things get better. The question is, what am I doing now? Yeah, that's the question. What am I doing right now? I've been asking my junior brother lately, so what's the plan for this week? Yeah, last week was Omo, this week can be Omo. What's the plan? What are we doing? So, yes, I'm talking to you. You know, you that has been sitting on an idea for 6 months, your friends have told you, your friends have told you you're going to make a great influencer, but you're saying no. It's better to have tried and failed than not tried at all. Hello. The people at the back, I could hear me. For those of you scrolling on the internet, watching other women build and you're not doing anything, I want to challenge you today. You are more than the rejection letters. You are more than the delayed timelines. You are more than the unfinished drafts. You were built for something specific. And the only way to find that thing out is to move. I attended the Beyond Conversation conference with Eric Gugwa, and he said something that clarity comes from action. I say that so many times, but maybe people they used to hear, maybe I'm not speaking to the right people. If you don't do it, you're not clear on whether it works or not. And if you're not clear, you would never know. While somebody out there that does not even have the privileges that you have is getting the job done. So, yes, your take home for the week. One thing you've been putting off, name it. The thing you need to start, not 10 things, just one thing. And before the week is over, start it. Even if it's small, even if nobody sees it, even if it does not work, start it. And you know, in my last episode, I said something about you having to challenge yourself to do something for 30 days. Now, don't say, well, I'm going to do this for 30 days. No, I'm going to do this for 2 days. I'm going to do it for 4 days. I'm going to do this. So, yeah, try that. You're not behind, you're being built. Okay. Yeah. So this is episode 9 of the Building You podcast, and I am so grateful that you're still here. Next week is episode 10 as season finale. And I hope you come for it. So if this episode meant something to you, please share it to a woman in your life who needs to hear it today, not tomorrow, today. And to every woman that's listening, you're always going to change everything. The only thing left is to believe that and act like it. I'll see you next Sunday. Bye for now. For those that stuck to this part, here's a bonus for you. I love you so much. Mwah. Happy International Women's Day. Bye.